Shalom, shalom, all praises to Yahweh Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem Kakadash, double honor to the elders and the apostles of Great Millstone, whom only teach well, who taught us this truth. This is your brother Yeshua from the JMS Atlantic Camp. And was going through my day here, and just am thinking about what are we here for? When I say we, this question is posed to those that are in the truth. What is the purpose of us coming into this truth and of us understanding who we are? The purpose is for us to build up the house of David, okay? Because Amos 8 and verse 11 says that the house of David shall be built up and the breaches thereof sealed, man. We come into this truth to build, okay? We don't come into this truth to understand who we are and then just stay stagnant, man. Right? This is First Peter 2, verse 5 says, ye also. Now, who is that ye? Ye are those in the truth. Ye also, as lively stones, are built up a spiritual house. I did a video with the brother over the weekend, and I had brought this up, and I'll bring it up again. Everybody knows the scriptures about the house of David being built up, but let's not forget who's building the house of David. Well, first and foremost, it's Yahweh Hashem, Yahweh Shai, but it's the spirit of Yahweh Hashem, Yahweh Shai, that is building up the house of David. And how does Yahweh Hashem, Yahweh Shai speak to the world? Well, he speaks to the world through his prophets. So if you are hearing the spirit of Yahweh Hashem, Yahweh Shai, then you yourself are a builder. Not only do you have to build yourself up, but then you now have a duty in building up the house of David, man. See, when you go into construction, right? Let's say a condo, okay? Uh yeah, let's say a freaking house. When when I say a new construction house, what are some of the first trades that come to mind? Well, probably grading, probably foundation, probably framing, probably the roof, and probably HVAC, right? Well, all those are important things, but you know what doesn't come to mind? When people talk about new construction, you know what doesn't come to mind? What doesn't come to mind is the carpet. What doesn't come to mind is the trim work, crown molding. What doesn't come to mind is the caulking of the crown molding. Do you understand that those are separate trades? But those separate trades are very minimal, yes, to the foundation, but nonetheless, without those trades, the building would look naked. What about drywall? What about the mudding behind that drywall? I'm saying these things because every one of us has different talents. We all are lively stones, man. And we are not called to come into this truth to be stagnant. Neither are we called to come into this truth to compare ourselves to everybody else. Now, we understand the role, the purpose of the elders, other Akim, because, we are all different members within the body of Hamashiach. But nonetheless, though, even if your even if your blessing has been the blessing of the ability to do trim work, if you're a bad man when it comes to painting, you know, uh, if you get down on the carpet, if you get down on the window trim, if you get down on the stucco, if you get down on the crown molding, whatever it is, man, that's what you're supposed to do, man. Yahweh Hashem Yahweh Shai is building up the house of David, and we ourselves are lively stones, which means that what? We ourselves are part of that house. So how can it be that you decide to not do the videos that you should be doing because what? Because you see somebody laying foundation? Do you think that when a house is being built, do you think the guy that does the crown molding comes in and says, "Oh, well, check out the guy doing foundation, man. Who am I?" No, man. It's a completely different trade. go into the same house, but the guy that does the crown molding couldn't do foundation, and the guy that does the foundation probably couldn't do crown molding as good as the crown molding guy could do. We're called to come into this truth to build, man. And if you're not building, then get out of the way. If anybody has ever worked construction, people that aren't working, hey, man, if you got your hands in your pocket, get off the job site. And through the spirit, man, we are on a spiritual job site, man. All right. It says, are built up a spiritual house, unholy priesthood to offer up spiritual sacrifices. And what are those spiritual sacrifices? Those spiritual sacrifices goes into doing the work. That's a part of it. You know, it's very easy for us to call in sick, and I understand that brothers go through valleys. We all go through valleys. I understand that, but at the end of the day, you know, this house won't be built unless a unless every aspect of it is completed, man. Okay, and nobody is going to go into a multi-million-dollar house showing by a real estate agent, get shown the house, but the crown molding is missing. Nobody's going to move into that, man. So now, the question is this: is you've been blessed with hearing this truth. Are you going to do the work? Are you going to put up the crown molding? Are you going to lay the foundation? Are you going to do the roof? Are you gonna install the lights, install the freaking plates that go around the light switches? Are you gonna do that which has been put on you, or are you gonna complain? Are you gonna complain and say, "Oh, well, you know what? I'm hearing the song, but I'm just not, I'm struggling with this." No, man. Romans 8 verse 20. For the creature was made subject to vanity, not willingly, but by reason of him who has subjected the same in hope. Everybody has struggled, man. Everybody has shortcomings. And you know what? The water. The water, Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai for those shortcomings. Do you know why? Because if we weren't dealing with the shortcomings that we have, if we weren't dealing with the shortcomings that we have to go through on a day-to-day basis, whether, like, for myself, it's stuttering. Sometimes I stutter. Most of the times I stutter. But every brother has a different shortcoming. you know, whether it's, whether it's your financial situation. Every brother has a shortcoming. We are not, Yahweh Hashem Yahushai is not calling a perfect man, a fucking 6'2", beautiful hair, big old hands, nice shoes, makes 100,000. Yahweh Hashem Yahushai is not like these thoughts that we see online talking about, I need a man that's 6'2", makes six figures. No, man. All right. He called Moses to free his people. Exodus 4 and 10. And Moses said unto Yahweh, Bahashem Yahushai, O my Lord, I am not eloquent, neither heretofore nor since thou hast spoken unto thy servant, but I am slow of speech and slow of tongue. Moses had a stuttering issue, and Moses was, saying, hey, man, I'm not, man, I'm slow. I don't know big words. I can't read. Doesn't matter. Moses was used to free our people. Do you understand that? Moses was a prophet. All right. Moses was hearing from the Spirit. And through him hearing from the Spirit, he was able to set free his people. You are hearing from the Spirit. We have all heard from the Spirit. All right. Those of us that are in this truth, we have heard, we have been at that burning bush. Wisdom cries out in the gates of the city. We have been there, man. And we've taken our shoes off, right? We've 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 taken the dust that was on the soles of our feet that we took to the altar, and we've taken them off because we don't do certain things prior to going to the altar. But the point is that there's a separation, and we've separated ourselves, and the Spirit is continuing to speak to you. You have to be building, man. If you're on this spiritual construction site and you're not building, sooner or later the foreman, Yahweh Shai, he's gonna tell you to go home, man. He's gonna tell you to go home, man. If you're not building, man, go home. First Corinthians 1 and 27. But the Most High has chosen the foolish things of the world to confound the wise. And the Most High has chosen the weak things of the world to confound the things which are mighty. And I was going into the scripture pretty heavy a couple weeks back, man. I really like this scripture because it leaves no excuse for anybody that, whether you call yourself simple, whether whether you say that somebody else can speak better than you, or maybe you compare yourself to another brother. That brother's doing the work, and you need to be doing the work. And stop comparing yourself to other people. If you yourself, if you look at yourself like somebody that is simple, okay, well then that's fine. According to First Corinthians 1 verse 27, the Most High chooses the simple, man. There is no excuse for anybody to not be doing the work, man. There is none. I think I had one more. Um, yeah, I'm gonna close it out with this. This is just a quick video here. What's that other one? In my weekends. Yeah, there you go. Whatever ailments, whether it's your financial situation, whether it's your speech, whether it's your appearance, whether it's whatever it is, man. Everybody, we were made this way. Why? Because you know what? We were made subject to vanity because imagine this. Imagine your whatever ailment that you're dealing with, whatever shortcoming that you're dealing with. Imagine that you weren't dealing with that. That would leave room for pride, man. The creature is subject to vanity, man. That's the balance, man, because with this, nobody has this truth. The world doesn't have this truth. Scholars don't have this truth. People pay $30,000, to go to some seminary, and they still can't get this truth. Now, imagine you, 6 foot, making six figures, got 35 bad bitches, 25-inch lifted truck with 35 turbos under the hood, and you know the truth, man. Man, the ailments that you have been sent directly from by Yahweh Shem Shai. 2 Corinthians 12, verse 9. And he said unto me, my grace is sufficient for thee, for my strength is made perfect in weakness. Because the Most High is not calling those men that are strong. The Most High is not calling those men that are tall, those men that are in shape, those men that graduated high school, those men that are making six-figure jobs. No, man. He didn't do it with Gideon. Ge- When Gideon was about to get ready to go to war, he had too many men. All right. And Yahweh Hashem Yahushai told him, he he lowered the amount of men because he didn't want to leave any room for Gideon and his men to be able to say that they delivered themselves based upon their might. And that's the same thing. Yahweh Hashem Yahushai chooses the foolish. Why? Because so that us being the so-called foolish will understand that it's nothing of our doing. Ephesians 2 verse 8 goes into it. We're not saved because of what we did. We're saved because of grace. Whose grace? Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai's grace. And that's how he's made strong, because then people can look at us. People can look, Lamentations 2 verse 1, people can look at the bywords and they can see those bywords. How are these so-called blacks, how are these so-called Hispanics, these so-called natives, how are they standing on their feet right in front of our eyes? And that's a precept. How are they doing that? It's not because we're smart, but it's because we have the spirit of Yahweh Shem Shai. You come into this truth, you get the understanding, and you do the work. You do the work, and it doesn't matter what ailment that you're dealing with. You do the work. Look at King David. King David murdered a man. King David committed adultery and then murdered a man. And Yahweh Shem Shai still used them. Look at Solomon. Solomon built up the high places, man, but he still used them for his temple. Many instances of many great men. If I'm not mistaken, I believe it was Jeremiah. I think Jeremiah was 12 or 13 years old when he became a prophet. There's no excuse, man. All these great men that we learned from, they all had ailments. They all had shortcomings that they were, I'm sure that they were aware of. You don't think that Dawuda, Malak Dawuda, you don't think that, he felt bad about what he did, but Yahweh Bashim Yahushai still used him? If Yahweh Bahashim Yahushai is speaking to you, you have to do the work. Because if you're not doing the work and building up the spiritual house of David, you're going to get walked off the job site, man. We are without excuse. Yahweh Bashim Yahushai will use us. To the next one, Shalom.